So at this point in the course, we've talked quite a bit about HTML. Well, let's back up a second. We've talked a lot about markup language, and it's really the hypertext part we haven't talked about at all. So what is hypertext? Well, as an example, let's take a paragraph of text. And let's say in that paragraph of text, I want the user to be able to click on musical style, and then I want the browser to go and get a page on musical style somewhere. That's hypertext, the ability to take a word or a phrase and link it to a web page. So how would we do this in HTML? Well, let's take a real paragraph from HTML. Let's take one of our paragraphs. And let's say we want the phrase musical style to link to a styles.html page somewhere. Well, what we can do is we can use another element type. That element type is called an anchor, or A for short. Now don't let that name throw you. Anchor sounds a little strange, but it's really just the ability to anchor a bit of text in your page to another web page. It might have been better if the standards bodies had given it a slightly different name, but for now it's anchor, and that's what gives us the ability to create a link within our page. Let's look a little closer though. If we take a look at the anchor, we know we've got our beginning ending tags around a word or a set of words that become the link name, or the link that the user sees in the browser or the device. But it seems like we're missing something here, because how is the browser going to know the link that it needs to retrieve when the user clicks on musical style? Well, there's a little more to anchor. And that is, anchor has something we haven't seen before. It has an attribute. And an attribute is just a little extra information that we can provide with a beginning tag. And in this case, that information is an Href. And all Href stands for is hypertext reference. In other words, this is a reference to the place we're going to go when the user clicks or touches the link music style. So now that we've got a little background on our anchor element, let's get it into our page and see how it works. All right, well, let's return to our HTML in the page that we've been working on. If we go to our HTML and we scroll down to the second paragraph, we want to take musical style and we want to change that into a link. Now I'm going to start by adding the beginning anchor tag, and I'll go ahead and add the ending one as well. Missing is that href attribute that we talked about. And so remember that href stands for hypertext reference, or in other words, it's the location of the HTML file that we'd like the browser to retrieve when we click on the link. Now in our example, we used a file called styles.html. What we're going to do instead is we're going to use a page from the web. And that page is a page from Wikipedia, and it's a page that lists musical styles, and it does it fairly exhaustively. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the location from the browser and copy that. I'm going to return to my HTML, and after href equals double quote, I'm going to paste that in and then put a closing quote, and then I'm going to save. And so what should happen is musical style will become a link. When we click on that, the browser will then load the Wikipedia page. So let's see if that happens. All right, so after a reload, we see musical style is now a link. As I pass over it, I get the cursor that allows me to click. I'm going to click, and we get the Wikipedia page. There we have it. You now know how to add a link to a web page to your HTML, and we're going to come back in a future tutorial and talk about href in detail. We're going to learn how to link to things other than just web pages, and we're going to learn how to manage and link to the set of files that are contained within your own website.